What's up, traders? Welcome back to another PyScript lesson. Today's lesson is going to be covering how to create visual tables to draw onto your TradingView charts. Now, this is a feature or functionality that was added to PyScript relatively recently, and it's something I've been implementing into the scripts that I use regularly, particularly scripts that I use to trade, such as this script you see here, which is my ultimate pullback indicator. You can see up here that I have a bunch of trade statistics drawing. I've got how many trades the script has taken, the average risk reward, wins, losses, long wins, short win percentage, break-even rate, break-even quantity, break-even rate percentage-wise, our max adverse excursion and max favorable excursion, the average, this is how far price goes on average towards our stop loss before going on to hit our take profit, or how far it goes towards our take profit before coming up and stopping us out. Then we have a win rate and a danger zone. This danger zone is basically our break-even zone for this script. Because we're using a 1-to-1 risk reward at the moment, our danger zone is 50%. So if we win 50% or less of the time, we're going to be losing money. And then down here, we have a bit of a custom-built backtesting system that I can put in my starting capital, and it will calculate my ending capital, my return, both in dollar amount and pips, and in percentage amount, and my max drawdown percentage. Now, in today's lesson, I'm not going to be covering how to build this out because, quite frankly, it would take quite a while to build something like this. We're talking over an hour of coding potentially, and I cover a lot of this more advanced concepts and techniques in the indicators and strategies course if you want to fast track your learning of this stuff and add this kind of functionality to your own scripts. But in today's lesson, I'm just going to be showing you how to draw a table onto your chart, and then you can populate that table or the cells of that table with whatever data you want. So to start with, I'm going to hide the script and create a new blank script. All I've done is set overlay to true. Let's add this script to our chart and get started. So drawing tables onto your chart is it's not too difficult, but there are a few things we need to do in order to get it to work. There's a few steps involved, and I'll walk you through them now. Below the video, there'll be a link to the TradingView blog post that announced the release of this feature, and in that post, they include a number of examples on how to use tables. I can't cover every minor detail of tables because there is quite a lot we can do with them. Today, I'm just showing you a practical way to draw a basic table onto your chart so that you can visually display information. If you want to get really fancy with your tables, that's something that you can learn to do by checking out the examples over on that blog post, or just reading through the documentation on the TradingView reference manual, the PyScript reference manual. So let's get started. First thing we need to do in order to display information to a table is create our table. So to do that, we use the VAR operator. These are persistent variables. Hopefully you've learned about these by now if you're watching this lesson. This just means that our table will not be recreated on every new bar. We create the table once, and then we can update it whenever we want to. So this is going to be a table variable. So VAR space table space, and then this is the name of the variable or the table ID. So for this, I'm just going to say my table, and my table is going to be set to table.new, and then this inbuilt function will create a new table for us. It takes a bunch of parameters. The first one is the position. So you can put your table in I think the top right, bottom left, maybe top left, I'm not sure. That's where the indicators tend to go. So I'm not sure if you can put it in top left, but you can put it in the middle, top middle, bottom middle, and sort of the center of your chart. If you type in here, position.control space, here is a list of all the locations we can place our table, and we can place it in the top left, which is interesting. Anyway, probably the best place for it would be the top right or bottom right, for the most part, for most scripts. So for today's lesson, we're going to stick with top right. You could also create this as a user setting, and the user could select where to place the table, but we'll keep it simple today and we'll just hard code our table to be placed in the top right of our screen. The next thing we need to specify is how many columns and rows we want in our table. So for today's lesson, I'm going to go with, let's go with 5 columns and 2 rows. So that'll look something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns and then 2 rows. So our table will look something like this, kind of like what my ultimate pullback indicator looked like at the start. And then we can fill the cells with whatever we want. We'll get to that in a moment. So we've got 5 columns, 5 rows. There are a bunch of other parameters here we could select or work with. I'm not going to touch any of them because we don't need to today. All I'm going to do is set the border width, border_width to 1 pixel. So in between our cells will be a 1 pixel gap, or whatever this is, 1 unit gap. So that's it. If I save the script, that should compile fine. There we go. So the next thing we need to do is update our table data. Now, the best practice for this is to do this on the very last bar of your chart. So for this, I check if bar state dot is last. So this is the very last bar on our chart. Then we update our table. And to do that, we use the table.cell function. And this will update the cell of the given table at the given column and the given row. So for this, we would pass my table. And for the very first cell, we want to pass in the 0 column and the 0 row. And then we need to pass in some text. So I'm just going to create a new variable here called text1, and that's just going to be set to some text to begin with. Then we can specify the width and height if we want to. If you don't specify the width and height, then that will be calculated automatically. So I recommend leaving them blank for the most part, unless you're doing some advanced formatting of your table. And then next up, we have our background color and our text color. So you could set this to whatever you want to. I'm going to set mine to color.black and my text color to color.white. And then we need to set our text parameter. So for this, I'm going to set text equals txt1, comma. And now this should, if I save the script, create a table in the top right with some text. And this text could be anything. So we could say closing price, /new line, and then we could add toString the current bar's close. Save the script, and there we go. So this is a really handy way to display information onto the chart that you need either for your trading or for debugging your scripts. It can also be useful for that. So let's create a few more here. Let's do text2 equals, and then we'll say opening price toString open. Text3 could be pip gain /loss /new line toString, and then we could say open minus, or let's go close minus open. And then let's copy this table.cell function a couple of times. And now we need to change our row and column values in order to set which cell to update. So for our second value here, let's change all our text to text2, text3. Let's set the row to 1. And then on the third one, we'll set our column to 1. And now if I save the script, you can see that we have some more information here. So notice that we have a blank cell here. The reason for that is that this is our 0 column. So as we add columns to this table, they shift to the left. So if we've got 5 columns here and we add in all 5 text values to these cells, this column will be 5 cells to the left. So that's important to note when building out your tables. Let's add a bunch of other information here. Text4, let's set to EMA 50 EMA value is plus toString. We just say EMA close 50. Text5, let's set that to RSI value \n toString RSI close 14. And let's copy this table.cell function a couple more times. And so we need to flip our row numbers and column numbers increment them by 1 basically for each cell. So we've got 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 2, 0, 2, 1. And let's change all of our text values to the appropriate one. Let's create a text 6. Let's create another text 6. This can be the percent change plus toString, and then we can say here change close divided by previous close times 100, and then I need to wrap that in parentheses, close that off, and that should work. Let's save the script, and we get a few errors here because we're using this under an if statement, if bar state.isLast. These inbuilt functions are not generating their value until the very last bar. We need to extract these from the scope, so let's put these up here. EMA equals EMA close, RSI equals RSI close, and then change. We can just say market change, and paste all that in there. Now this should compile without any warnings or errors, and we should be getting our values up here. Perfect. Now the decimal values are a bit long, but actually while we're here, this isn't really in the scope of the lesson, but I will show you how to truncate or cut the decimal values back to however many decimal values you want, as this is going to be a common problem you run into when displaying indicator values in text, the way we are here. So I'm just going to quickly add on a script that I was working on recently that I know has this inbuilt custom function that I wrote. If I scroll down here to this truncate function and copy that out, get rid of the script, open up our table script, and I'll paste this at the very top of our script. This is a custom function that truncates or cuts the excess decimal places of the number we pass it. So we use this function like this. I would say truncate EMA to 2 decimal places, and if I paste that in to all of these, now when I save the script, all of these numbers will be cut down to 2 decimal places. There we go. We don't want to cut our price or our pip gain or loss down, just these indicator values. And we should probably add a percentage sign on the end of this percent change, and I think that'll do. I mean, you could add, we did create a table with 5 columns, so we could add 2 more columns here if we wanted to, but I'll leave it there. You get the idea, I'm sure. Just make sure that you have enough columns in the table you created. If we were to set this down to 2 and save the script, we'll get an error up here. You can see that we have an error because column 2 is out of the table bounds. So as far as I know, there's nothing wrong with having too many columns in your table, but having too few is the problem. So just make sure that you have enough columns and rows in your table to be able to fill all the cells that you do in your script. So let me save that, and we're pretty much done. Just really quickly, one last thing I'll show you to do, just because you might find it interesting, is how to change the background color and text based on, for example, let's change the percent change background color to be green or red based on whether this is a negative value. So percent change is here. Market change text 6. So down here we'll change the background color to a conditional statement. And we'll say, is market change greater than 0? If so, set the background color to green. Otherwise, set it to red. And we can leave the text color as white. That should be fine. Let's save the script. There we go. Now the value is red. If we go to a market that had a positive change, were there any on a Friday? Surely one market. Here we go. There we go. Green percent change. So that'll do. Obviously, you can change the location. Let's change it to top left just to see what that looks like. It'll probably look pretty bad because it'll be covered by the ticker and everything. I don't think you'd ever want to set it there, but you could do bottom right or bottom left. And for example, if you want to keep it out of the way of price action, maybe you want to set it to bottom underscore left. Save that. And now it's down here, which is not a bad spot for it. It keeps it out of the way of current price action. So that'll do it for today. Obviously, you can change the text color as well if you want to, and there are a bunch of other parameters you can play around with here if you want to. And as always, just hold down Control and click on these if you want to read up on what each parameter is capable of doing. Anyway, that'll do it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this lesson valuable and interesting in your own coding. Take care, best of luck with your trading, and I will see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.